Hey, what's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze with the weekly live stream, and today we're gonna take a look at Quake and Gears. We're gonna take a look at their G1 power core. So it's actually, I don't know. I'll wait to show it to you guys before I kind of give a verdict on it. But I think it's pretty good overall. But we'll talk about some of the things I think about it here in a bit. We will also take a look. So there's a survey that's going around. I actually want to take a look at that survey for a little bit. Um, it's probably a good time to talk about the state of the game and just some of my thoughts on it. So even though I've been putting out a little bit of content talking about that stuff, um, it became a little bit clearer just looking at the survey. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And let's see. Let me take a look at my notes here. And it was one other thing. Oh, and quick update on the 5-star batch. So we did have some minor changes and still not finalized, but we'll talk about where we're at. And yeah, so before we talk about any of that, let's take a look at this week's newsletter. And so this week's event is called Second Wave. Is it week 4? It's not week 4 because that would be the endurance event. It's week 3 of the saga. But in any event, um, so second wave is the event. It's an individual totalizer. It's another 10K event, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well about how it became to be a 10K event. But um, so yeah, it says some of the prizes you can win: 5 times Optimus bounty. They can drop Shanix or Cyber coins. You can get 10K Shanix. You can get 2.5K 4-star shards, 7.5K 3-star shards, and up to 500K Troop XP items, and then 350K Spark, 20 million Alloy, and Energon. So overall, not too bad. The Optimus bounty chest. It's giving you a chance to get, let's see, a 40% chance at 250 Shanix, 9% chance at 2.5K, and then a 1% chance at 25K Shanix. Or you can get a 40% chance of 100 cyber coins, 9% chance at 1,000 cyber coins, or 1% chance at 10K cyber coins. So I know it was some people that were excited about this. To me, it's kind of like, all right, when I spend moderately in the game, and you go complete all of the raids every 2 weeks, then it's all right, cool. It's nice to have. I always like having the stockpile of energon and alloy. So for me, then that's the more appealing part. But um, I'm sure it's people out there that need the Shanix. So this one's for you. Typical battle zones. And for game updates and information, so as we mentioned, the 5-star batch should be coming soon. A lot of people been asking me about it. Like the date that I heard it was supposed to come out during Endurance Week. Um, I don't know if that's still the case, but that was what I saw on Discord. They were talking about Endurance Week. Um, and honestly, most of the stuff is done. More of the work has been going towards Chromia and Velbat, and so that's why I want to talk about that a little bit today as well. But yeah, that's about it. In regards to the 5-star batch, I think it's pretty close to being done, and a lot of people have a tendency to get upset a little bit when they gotta wait. And I always tell everybody, once you get an announcement, wait a month. Wait a month. The pattern that I've noticed, and it changes from time to time, but the pattern that I've noticed is that around the second month of a quarter, they'll make an announcement. They'll have us content creators make an announcement, and then closer to the end of that month, then going into the third month, or the beginning of the third month of the quarter, they'll release the patch. So it's not really a lot of guesswork for it for me, but yeah, this will be right around the time when you're going into March, you're going into the beginning of the third quarter, and the 5-star batch will be up there. So that's what I'm looking for. Um, so they wanted to apologize to everybody for all the issues they've been having. It's been about a week of just random game crashes and stuff like that. And for me, I actually got locked out of a top war the other day against G1 Psyops, and I couldn't even complete the war because the game crashed on me uh, while I was doing base 5, and I wind up not completing the war because of it. So um, they were saying that they think they've got it figured out. I hope they do, because that stuff is aggravating. On top of that, this was on Sunday, so I'm usually busy throughout the week. Even on the weekends, and I go out there and I go deliver DoorDash and stuff like that. And I wasn't hitting the event until Sunday, and then I lost all of those prizes on Sunday because the game crashed on me. So hopefully that's fixed. Um, and yeah, I'm just kind of looking forward to it. I'm just looking kind of forward to the game just running. That's one of the things that you're just given, that the game is going to run, and it's going to run properly. So, um, yeah, but definitely going to stick with the guys. They said they appreciate us for sticking with them. Definitely going to stick with the game, but it's just like those are the things that they got to have that right and get it figured out quickly. All right, so like we mentioned, Gears and Quake are coming to the game, and so they actually got a little bit of concept art for them. And I was wondering, you can always tell when the newsletter is coming out, because I started getting messages about, uh, was I going to show off the artwork today too? When I looked at it earlier today, we didn't have the concept art in playtest, but I might be wrong. It might have changed. I had a couple of things to do after I got off work today, so it might have changed. But I don't think we have it yet. But what they've got up there, both bots actually look really cool. And Gears has always been like, he's been a favorite of mine in the lore or whatever, just because I just like that he's just like a little grumpy old man or whatever. So it's always one of my favorites. And if you didn't pay attention, you can actually see the G1 core and the tooltip for it. They showed the tooltip for, uh, 5-star, but they actually showed the G1 in here with and without Titan tree perks. And overall, like I already talked about the bot before, I like the bot a lot. But we'll talk about that a little bit today too. We'll take a look at them with the G1 core. So, survey, we'll talk about the day as well. Just a lot of different questions they ask up there. But when they make a big survey like that, it's usually a big deal, and you usually see some immediate impacts immediate right after they create a survey. But so I'm looking forward to getting the surveys all counted, letting them see the feedback, and hopefully, hopefully to have some impact on the game. All right, so saga schedule. We up there in week 7 of the saga, or week 3 of the season, and next week is endurance. So that's another thing I've been getting a lot of questions about. Is about the endurance. Everybody's out there making their bids and everything right now, or probably get ready to wrap up their bidding. Um, but I'll go on record. I've been on record saying that it's a really good bot. It's a really good bot. I personally enjoy it. I'm still debating about how I'm going to fit it into my war team, but I do consider it to be a war team bot. So, especially as the future meta comes, I think it's going to be something that we wind up using heavily. Make sure you check out all of your content creators, myself, for the official content creators, myself, um, Soldier, and of course Sunstreaker Waza, and make sure you support all of your unofficial content creators as well. Having a lot of discussion in the chat with, um, CF and with Mercenary Terror, Dark Terror. Uh, a lot of these guys out there got some really nice channels. So um, if you guys got channels and you want other TFEW heads to check you out, feel free to leave your links in the chat. All right, community corner. No, that artwork there is clean, bro. You got a real artist right there, but that's the only one they got this week. And then Space Ape will be streaming next week, and that's all we got for the news. So let's go over and take a look at who we got in the chat. And so there was a little bit of debate going on because it's like I see Dark Terror as first in the stream. One of my good friends, moderators, thanks for joining. Shock Bomb says he was in there first, so they must have posted it at like exactly the same time. But thanks for joining, Shock Bomb 28 as well. Blade 19, one of my good friends and members, with us again. Thanks for joining. And of course, legend himself, CF Tactics, one of my good friends, members, playtester. Man, CF does a lot for this game. I think he does more. Him and Jacada probably do more for the game than anybody I know. But yeah, man, like, hey, do me a favor, man. Like, CF should have been an official content creator by now, man. Post justice for CF in the chat if you agree with me. Yeah, justice for CF, man. He definitely should have been official by now. I feel like. Let's see. We got Autobot Phil. Who's well, I say he might be with us. He might not be with us. He said he had to go. Had to go put his kid down for bed. And there was a couple of jokes that came in there along with that. But thanks for joining. Let's see. That's us talking about content stuff. We got Grim Studios in there with us again. Thanks for joining, Grim. That's another one of those guys that make content. Even I don't think he does as much Transformer stuff anymore, but he got some good content up there for some other games. All right, we got David Lee in here with us. Thanks for joining. My good friend, Alliance mate, C Malk, one of my members as well. Thank you for joining, C Malk. Jacada, Speak of the Devil, is in the chat again. Thanks for joining, Jacada. We got the homie Chris Harmon, one of my first members and one of my moderators. Thanks for joining, Chris. Bro, thank you, moderators. Speaking of moderators, thank you for taking care of that Dark Terror. Like, Aaron DeJesus, Hidalgo, Gamboa coming in and spams the chat like every single week. And I thought that, let's see. Yeah, so I thought I kept muting them before, but thanks for that, for taking care of that. Let's see. We got Rip and Griff, another one of my homies in there in the chat, and I think I got everyone. But if I didn't, feel free to go tag me in the chat. But all right, so let's go over to the larger screen, and let's start off taking a look at this G1. Let's rip that band-aid off. Now, me personally, I'm not a person that usually goes for, like, I don't usually pay for the G1s. If I get them, if I pull them, then cool. If I don't, I don't. This one's not bad. So for Quake and for Gears, here's a tool tip for the G1 core. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here's a tooltip for the G1 core. It says increases special ability damage by 15.5%. It's also going to set the target on fire, dealing approximately 75% of the bot damage as fire damage over 6 seconds. Now, when I first saw this, and I said, oh man, not really doing too much, but I mean, ability damage boost, cool, man. Like, ability damage is always good. So I'm actually going to remove the core for a second. And without that cool, so we got him at, I got him at level 70. I still got him at private, so they got him at 2.2k, almost 2.3k without the cool. Then you go bump it up with the cool at 15.5%. Now, what's awesome about this is that ability runs for 10 seconds. So you're getting a nice little chunk of damage. So it's going from just under 2.3 to 2.630. I think that's the ability damage portion of this actually is pretty good. Um, but there's another piece to that, and the most intriguing piece to that for me is that you've got him doing fire damage for 6 seconds. And so if you got a 10-second ability and you got glass gas as part of the ability, now you've got an opportunity here to do just massive AoE damage. I mean, this is going to be damage is going to be, you know, well over 10k. In addition to setting fire for 6 seconds, it's at 75% of the damage the bot does, and his base damage is at 719. So, um, overall, not too bad. I probably should go ahead, and I hadn't done this because they didn't give us the ability 11s at first. But I mean, it's just one of those things that's going to give you a better area with ability 11. So I want to check it out. I hadn't used the ability 11 in test, but this was one of those things that I had to go get the resources for. So I'll do it up here on stream. I have used the G1 now. And my thoughts on the G1. Well, let's take a look at it first, and then we'll see what it does. And one of the things that I've been telling people when they ask me about the bot, I say the bots, they do a decent amount of damage in their own right, and that's what makes it kind of valuable. I like it as a support bot because one of the things that I've been thinking about is a glass gas. It doesn't have a counter really. I mean, if you could consider healing to kind of be the counter, but I wouldn't consider it to be the counter only because if you go use this in combination with another bot, it is going to overcome it. And this is one of the reasons why I use Rodimus Unicronus. This is one of the reasons why I use like Inferno. If you're an Autobot, that's a counterpart. That's why I use one of those bots. Um, or use those kind of bots because the support bots that help with boosting damage and everything can do pretty well in any meta. But with glass gas, and unless they make a glass gas build bot or something, now you're looking at a bot that's gonna have some glass gas. He's gonna have fire on top of that, so that's gonna help move things along. But if you use another bot in a combination with in a congested area, it's gonna take care of things pretty quick. Now for me, I do still want him to have more damage, but I understand why. I mean, not more damage, more range. But I understand why, with the damage that he deals, he doesn't have more range. I almost wanted to say, I'll take less damage for more range, considering he does glass gas. But ultimately, it's all right. I mean, he does good damage in his own right. He's got good AOE. For me, I know I was having a conversation in the chat earlier with CF when, a lot of people was like, "Oh, another gunner, great." But I always think about it, it's like, what are we going to need? We're on the brink. Now we're on the brink of HQ8, HQ19, and so that's what I'm kind of looking at. So we'll see how it goes. Um, and I skipped tracks. Penny Lancaster, thanks for joining, buddy. He's like, yeah, members getting skipped. I didn't see you in there, man. Apologies, but the homie Trax is in here. Shout out to him and his folks over there in G1. Autobot Phil says, "For your information, I'm a man of my word. I'm back." I just didn't know. I didn't question that. I just didn't know if you were in that particular second when I was talking about you. That's all. But I'm glad you came back. So Ripping Griff asked the question, "Is this gunner similar to Kickback?" And that's actually a really good question because that's exactly what he's like. I mean, when you look at the bot that does, there's not that many bots out here doing glass gas. I mean, like, Scully and Warpath do glass gas with their G1 in a line. Um, this is like a more powerful version of what Kickback does. Um, he's got the range of, say, Brawl or Prowl, and I'll actually pull that up on the screen while we're talking about it. He's got he's got their range, which honestly, like, I always, I used, this has been a couple of years ago now, but I used Brawl and Prowl and more before, and that's what he was my war gunner that I was using at that particular time. But I always felt like I was always reaching. I always felt like I just couldn't quite reach the target and that's the one drawback I feel like it is for this particular bot. But yeah, he does a lot of the same stuff that Kickback does with a twist. He's a little bit stronger. He's a lot stronger because he puts out some damage. And yeah, I personally think what they should have done is at some point you're gonna want to do a legacy. You're gonna want to do legacy for for these bots or for kickback and cliff jumper. This could have been the legacy batch kickback and cliff jumper, and they could have gave Quake something else. In my honest opinion, they could have gave Quake and Gears something completely different, and it would have, it'd have been dope. And then, hey, speak of the devil, there goes Sunstreak Awaza, and he says, and nobody uses kickback. Honestly, and my response to that would be, if kickback wasn't so fragile, if cliff jumper wasn't so fragile, people would use them. Glass gas, by far. I mean, look at even when you talking about using like the Crimzeek, taking that additional damage in a support role is awesome. But people know that kickback and cliff jumper, they are going to die. They are very, very fragile, and I think they should have just made that into the legacy project, and then that would have been the one that we used. That would have been the bot that we used. We could have gave this something completely different. We would have been good. All right, so we're gonna put both of them side by side. All right, so that's Quake's range. Shoot, actually, yes, it's even less than that. This is my first time looking at it side by side. But it actually seems like it's about a square or two less. Now, granted, they did probably walk up a little bit. Nah, whatchamacallit, Prowl and Brawl got more damage going. I mean, not more damage, more range. I keep saying range damage when I mean range, but they got more range going, so. All right, and see, Calvin actually made a comment that says kickback would be better if he didn't run in front of everyone. And yeah, he's got kind of got that he's got that whole mechanic going on like they do with the scouts and everything. And so yeah, he's prone to running into danger. Like if you keep him back. Let me see. Let me see what level I got my 4-star on in here. See, I got him just under 60. But even then, like when you start pulling up on 60K, just under 60K, and you're talking about just under 9k health. I mean, that's a tough sell. I think if they would have gave him this ability, that'd have been dope. And I need to still figure out how to put this bot onto my war team. But I mean, shoot, man. Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to show his stats again. Um, but I'm all in. I'm all in on the bot. Um, I do, even though I'm all in on the bot, I do typically go for endurance bots because it's like one less thing you got to worry about when the bots come to the batches and everything like that. And the way they've been doing batches lately, I'm just kind of like, cool, man. Like, I don't have to worry about 3 or 4 of these bots. And if I had done the last batch this way, as soon as Fellbat and Chromia came out, I'd be good. I'd just go in there, I'd just go pick up Fellbat, and I'd be all set for the combiner and everything. Um, but that's all I'm gonna have left when once we do actually get to the point where we're testing. We're supposed to be testing them soon, but when we start testing Lyle Kaiser and Computron, then I am pretty well set. I got Drillhorn is the only one that I got left in that batch, and so I can just pick him up whenever. When this batch comes out, I'll just start picking up parts. Well, I think I still want to go. I gotta wait and see how Lyle Kaiser looks in testing, and that's gonna be the determining factor on how I proceed. Because for me, if I wind up, if we wind up doing something with Lyle Kaiser, um, and it happens soon, then I will probably go for his parts because I still need. Let me go to my combiners real quick. So this is on my test account. So the only thing that's really changed, so I got all the pieces. So this is my test account, but on my live account, I'm still missing Rampage and I'm still missing Headstrong. Now for me, Headstrong is the last one that's left in that particular batch. So that's cool. He was the last one that I would pull, but I still got every single bot in the batch before I can go get Rampage. So I did not get to use 5-star Predator King this weekend. But long story short, I got equal amount of work for both. And if they make Lyle Kaiser really, really good, let me go look at Lyle Kaiser real quick. If they make him really, really good, then I might go for him first. I'm gonna go for whoever's better out of the two. Yeah, because like you can see, obviously on the test account, I have 5-star Fellbat, so the only one that I'm missing is Drillhorn. I always like when Waza comes on the chat because he was like this bot I'm reaching. I love my support bots. I genuinely do. Like if I get a chance to, I mean, I can't even with a clear conscience consider this to be. Uh, I can't even consider this to be a support bot totally because he does quite a bit of damage. I think what'll happen is when we start going up to HQ 19 and when we need something that's not going to, you know, what happens is every time you go get a new HQ level, it's a bunch of bots that just kind of fall right off the radar. They can't cut it anymore. Power creep sets in. And I think for this particular bot, he's one of those bots that helps that because like that's one of the reasons why I use Rodimus Unicronus because well you closing that power creep gap and because you know that you can go add additional damage to the bot and its abilities and so it leaves it survivable for more periods of time and that's kind of the same way that after you quake now you could make the argument that because I use Rodimus Unicronus that I don't need to use Quake because I've already got a 50% damage boost going to all of my bots that I don't need to burn ability points to go use Quake. And I might not. I might just use them on front loaded basis to try to path faster. But it is what it is. It's like most of the content that they've come out with over the last endurance bot wise over the last year or so, I've actually enjoyed in some capacity. Um, Dreadwing, I actually don't use a whole lot. I need to level them up and I'll probably start playing them. But I know a lot of my teammates use them. Let's see who else. There's another one that I didn't even go for. Just wasn't really for it. Bomb Burst was good. There's been a few of them that have been really good. And it's just I think he'll still be good even after they get done with his bug fixes. To be honest with you, Bomb Burst and Metal Hawk. Uh, let's see who else. But yeah, most of them. That's who I was thinking about. Antagony and Tasmania Kid, even though they got them a little bit better right now. I mean, clearly I like Nova Prime. CF was talking about Nova Vector. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I love Nova Prime. I say Nova Prime. If I had to go look at my team right now, Nova Prime is one of the reasons why. Because I was in a slump for a little bit, and now like for the last couple of months or so, I've been I've been playing like at an elite level, and a lot of that is due to Nova Prime. Like Nova Prime is like one of the reasons why like I can go easily go no combiner on some basis because he's just got so much range with those. When you look at those those flips that he does with the decoys, it just covers so much area. It just covers so much area, and I love it as the outpost pop option. You can see from there, from the pad, he, well, they didn't have a combiner in there because it's on the test server, but he would have popped the combiner from the pad. And I know a lot of people don't like him there because they're saying, hey, he has too much, the hollows are too fragile. But I actually, that's 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 my dude, man. Like I like him more than a lot of the other outpost poppers because they cover so much area. But cool, man. But yeah, this one last look at that G1 core, and I I didn't touch on that earlier, but I think if you're using this bot and you're using him for his damage primarily, the G1 is probably going to be the way to go. Every for me, and I said this when we first started talking about this bot, but with Quake and with Gears, because that ability lasts 10 seconds long, if you want to just try to keep them healthy, then you got some opportunities there where you could potentially use an amalgamist or you could use like an alchemist or something like that. Like I say amalgamist, just because the longer you stay transformed, the better off you do with the healing, and then you would still technically, you would still get that 15.5% that you get with the G1. You just wouldn't get the additional AoE, so you would be using them strictly as a combo bot. And at 5+3, that can get expensive. But yeah, you definitely get the health out of it. So it just depends on what kind of player you are. I think it gives you a lot of utility and how you want to proceed. All right, so I'm looking at the chat, and Biju Varganese says that they should make it easier for us to get G metal cores. I mean, they should. The problem with G metal cores is that, well, you're saying G metals and as a whole, and so um, once you get to a certain level, it's not overly difficult to get them. It's just the fact that the G metal cores are so saturated because it's so many G1s, it's so many G metals. Period, are just different bots and just different cores that you run the risk of not getting what you want. And so that's the problem that I have. I wish that every now and again they gave you something where you could just pick a G metal and it's exactly the one that you want. Not too often. They could do it like twice a year or something. All right. So David Lee says, and I didn't mention it earlier, I don't think, but David Lee, one of my members as well, says, to be honest, last weekend I paid $60 for 4 Dino Gates and a 5-star bundle in the web store, and pulling Wild Rider, Predacon Inferno, and Deluge in a future 5-star. Wow. Yeah, you had a nice weekend then, based off of those bundles. So my bundle, I picked 1 5-star bundle for the combat, and I picked 1 5-star bundle for the actual bot. And so I didn't pull the combat. I'm actually going to save that because I still got the Forge of Soulless. It's the only weapon that I got left in that batch to pull. So I'm going to use all of those to get the Forge of Soulless. For the bot, I had a 50-50 chance between I'm trying to think of who I actually wound up pulling, because I had a 50-50 chance between Headstrong and another bot. Not, obviously I pulled the other bot, and so I still be having to go after Headstrong once I get to that point, but it's all good. But yeah, to Ripping Griff's point, Dino Gate is a cheap way to get all kinds of things. Um, you know, it, the stuff adds up. But like, realistically speaking, I probably could have got Dino Gate and added um, some more 5 stars and stuff like that. Or probably pulled another 5-star because I would have got all of those 4-star crystals. And I think even when I got done with everything, because I cracked all my crystals and stuff that I had been saving up for a little bit. I cracked a lot of them this past weekend, and I'm still like halfway to another 5-star. So I probably won't pull Drill Horn or Headstrong, but I could if I wanted to. All right. So I want to take a look. I want to take a look at where we are with Fellbat. All right, so not a whole lot has changed here. I know a lot of people been asking me about it. Um, just some of the smaller changes. So now, somebody just asked me about this in my alliance the other day, and when they asked me about it, we were looking at kind of the tool tips, and it's like it hadn't been doing very much. Um, and I was saying that the tower health is going to go up because the bot's health is going to go up. But with Felbat and Chromia, honestly, I wanted them to make this one. I wanted them to make it a little bit more challenging, and I I heard every argument on every end of the spectrum this this week, because some folks were like, "Well, some people still use him and he's still good," but I was like, "Well, now you have different bots that you can use and different combat bots you can use to avoid getting shocked." So for me personally, I wanted to see the shock tower just be, non-targetable, and I think that was off the table right away in playtest because, some of the guys that were developing this stuff, um, they was like, "Hey, man, it's difficult enough as is." But then I started looking at all the little intricacies of, you know, his ability, and I was like, when you put him on defense, half the time your gunners aren't going to get shocked. You got warrior stun immunity. You've got bots like Red Alert and Run Amok that keep you from getting stunned by using their ability. You've got combat bots like Vertebrake and Rap Trap that do the same thing. They keep you from getting stunned. And after a while, I was like, just I think it would be appropriate. Now it'll be tough for some players because everybody doesn't have all of this stuff. But then it'll make you start thinking a little bit harder. It'll start making you think about, well, maybe you go use that Nova Prime, or maybe you go use Blot or Rook and pop that outpost so that the tower's away from you. It makes it a little bit more strategic. But I still need to put this ability 11 on them. Um, right now they got his damage boost and knockback. I don't know how that's going to turn out because it sounds like we're not sold on that one yet. But I do know that we were kind of running out of time. I mean, I ain't gonna say we're running out of time. If we are to bring this out along with the batch, well, yeah, no, I'm thinking about something completely different. So yeah, I mean, we are running out of time. Um, but I know we are gonna start working on it more soon. Like just a lot of back and forth conversations. But when I get him ability 11, 125% of the health, and on the tower, I hadn't got to play around with it yet, but I do want to, so let's check it out. And I'm actually going to start off putting them on defense and see what I think of it. And I know I got a lot of testers in the chat, so feel free to chime in whenever. Where is... I might already have him in the outpost. Let me see. Yeah, I got him in this outpost. That's why I don't see him. I was getting confused. Alright, so let's see. I will do a base trial. So CF is saying he's not keen on knockback because it'll no doubt mess up pathing. Absolutely true. And, as you mentioned, we already got enough pathing issues in the game. And my biggest thing for me, man, is just like, this is not one of those areas where I look at knockback as being really effective. Yeah, I just wanted the ability 11 to make him not targetable. But it does look like it's got some decent survivability. So now we ran off 10 seconds. Now that's the whole team kind of pounding away on it. But I think that's the biggest thing for me is that it's not going to last 30 seconds. And the team, we try to make it a little bit stronger, but the team ultimately is kind of against, um, making it too beefy. So they said because what we were gonna do is have it, just not have a clock, and then whenever you destroy it, it's when you destroy it, and it would just the tower would just stay there until you destroyed it. I just wanted you to not be able to target it at all, and it just lasted 30 seconds, and you just got to figure it out. But that probably would have been too hard. But so that's kind of where we're at, and really that's the only thing that's really holding us up for the batch. Everything else that I've already talked about on previous streams, um, everything else is kind of the same as it was. So that's just really the only update that I had. But I'll let you know more. We should be really digging into this week to try to get Felbat and Chromio finalized. Um, this is one of those times where I think is really going to be an advantage on the bot side because if we get Felbat, at least we're going to chase it for the combiner piece. And so, all right. So I wanted to go take a look. So we got a survey here. and I kind of blew it up on the screen. I got a comment the other day that's saying, "Hey, I didn't have it's saying that I didn't have uh things large enough for certain content." And trying to get my camera in here. Okay, there we go. So I want to take a look at this survey, and it's been out. I think it's on its second up, going into third week. So they're trying to wrap this up soon. But I was just looking at some of the questions that were in here, just because, like I said, there's usually a major impact immediately afterwards. So for me, there's all your basic information. And I just want to go through all of this stuff a little bit and let me know what some of your main concerns were when you looked at this survey. So I'll be honest, when I first started looking at this and they asked me all these questions about bundles, and I just kind of got just generic information filled in, but for me, bots you'd like to see in 2025 this year. Now, this isn't my actual survey. This is like the first time that I filled it out. It just, I just kind of just click stuff. But I mean, I don't really see us having too much of an impact on that, like a survey. Like if they were saying, "Hey, we want to make a bot into like a 5-star," and they just had a list of bots that hadn't went through legacy or anything, I think that would be more effective. But for this, it's kind of whatever. Um, but they talking about selling stuff. I'm probably not buying it for a lot of times because I think they overprice a lot of this content. So if they go put a combat bot in the bundle or something like like Dino Gate and stuff like that, that's cool. I don't typically buy bundles because it's you get a chance at something that you want. Most of the time, it's just not for me. Like if I'm paying money for something, I just want to go get whatever it is I'm getting, and it be guaranteed. Which is why I don't buy like the binary bond bundles, anything like that. I tried that one time and didn't get any of the BBE, and I said, yeah, I'll never do that again. So then they start talking about combiner bundles. So for me, I pretty much breeze past this whole section. Weapon bundles, I mean, it's only 4 weapons, not really a whole lot there. Skins are cool. I always like to look at the differences between like the Autobot and the Decepticon skins and stuff like that. But it's like, I feel like all the skins should come back around at some time, so I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm actually pick this up a little bit. you know Stick it in the bundle when you get some other stuff going on. Like stick it in the bundle when you're trying to sell those bot bundles or something. Like that'll be cool. But outside of that, I actually wouldn't care. All right, repost one says use your lab to get G1s. Yeah, that's fair. All right, building power cores. I mean, they ask you which ones you like. I mean, it's only a handful of them, and I probably should actually be clicking some of this stuff as I go along. So let me do that because it's gonna stop me. So I'm just gonna rando click. But as far as like the building ones and everything, um, the only ones I really need are gonna be ones I don't have. Like I only got one G metal fire core. So for me, I picked like the fire core when I did the actual survey. But you know, I don't know how if it's true or not, but I always feel like all the newer content that's these um in these bundles for the defensive cores, or really any core, but particularly the defensive one because there's so few of them, um, that whatever's new, there's lesser odds. And I don't know if that's true, but it always feels like you always reaching for the new stuff. So I only got one fire G metal. Got lucky with that one. Outside of that, I can't think of any that I need. Alright, so bot specific cores, they ask about that. Are there any class specific cores? I mean, the only one, like, I think if once you get Ray Booster or something like that, I mean, everybody's probably got a bunch of enhanced ordnance and, all of these cores, so bot specific one, not really worried about. They ask you if you want to see some of any of these other ones. I mean, like, yeah, you can always put XP cores in there. And G1 power cores. It's always going to be some. For me, it's going to boil down to ones that I don't have. I would love to go get the Blot G1, Blot G1, and Rook G1. I think that'll be dope. But at the end of the day, I don't really use him and more anymore. And sometimes I get lucky. Like I got Leo Prime and Predacon Inferno's one, even though I don't need it. I got that one really early when they first, and I actually got like two or three of them too. Vector Prime's another one. I got his real early, but um, it's just tough to think about like just getting all the G1s. Like I just, for me personally, because I don't go and chase them in the bundles. All right, so they start asking you what you chasing in terms of currency. For me, that's BBE combat. It's always gonna be different currencies and stuff in that you need. But I mean, the only one that it's really really hard to get is BBE, which means you got to do the leaderboard or you got to do you know the bundles and stuff. I just want to see more BBE combat come to just regular events. But if they put it in the bundle or something and it wasn't $100, I'd probably go for it. So I'm looking in the chat and I see Corey Truelove say they need to update Nemesis so his second passive effect works already. I think that was on the list. There was a list that came out of things that they were working on, and I think that was one of them. Don't quote me on it because I have to go back and look, but I think that's something that's being worked on. All right, so then they ask you about your progression. What's your focus this year? Want to be better on defense? Want to collect and upgrade new characters? And then you can always fill in what you want. Um, so I'll just click something in that particular case. Like I said, I already turned in my survey, and I did some other. I think I wrote some stuff in the none of the above category, but all right. If team were to release an exclusive item, what would you want? I mean, I want something that's going to be used in the game. Like I think that was an easy one. And then they talking about an exclusive 5-star. Who should that be? I think that's kind of dependent. I even put Cup and Dead in there. A lot of people will be happy about that. And they should we do a 5-star store exclusive? It'll eventually arrive in the 5-star batch. Yeah, you should. I don't think anybody would hate that too much, especially if it was going to be in the batch. That means it's going to come soon, and maybe they let us vote on it. All right, so that whole page about bundles, and I'm just going to go through and click stuff, but new characters and bots I like. Let's see, new combats and weapons I typically like. New combiners, I think I put it like a 4. Like they're pumping out new combiners, but I see combiners becoming more niche as things go on. Um, just because, like, you know, with Predaking and Volcanicus, it was a little bit more niche. It's like, hey, you want it to be something that you can use specifically for war. I had a couple of people tell me that they using the events and it was fine, and they was like, yeah, Freeze, you were wrong. This thing works fine in the event. They didn't say it like that, but um, so you got that. But they are pumping out combiners at a rate faster than I've ever seen them. I always tell people wait like a year for a combiner, and in the last few months, you've got Raiden and Dino King, you got Volcanicus and Predaking, and now you've got Lio Kaiser and Computron on the way. So that's going to be like 3 in a real short span. So um, Just depends on how powerful they make them as 5 stars. New Titans, I don't actually really care about. I think that's just gonna be more extra and unnecessary work. Maybe we'll need one when HU19 comes out, but I'm not pressed about that. Bot specific cores, I'm not pressed about that. Let's see, new character skins, definitely not pressed about that. You know, whenever they make the artwork, just put a new skin in there. I mean, it's typically going to be one in Cyberpass. New character ranks. Now, this one's been bugging me because they've, when you go look onto the wiki has stats for the rank of general, and they've had them there for several months. I don't know what the holdup is. Maybe they're gonna just keep that in their pocket until HQ19 comes out. I don't know, but it's time. It's. I think they probably don't want to do it now because it might make the game too easy for the top. But um, yeah, it's time for the next rank, and I think if I had to make a prediction, I think the new ranks will come when HQ19 comes. But I'm just guessing. All right, so rate your level of interest in Titan Tree perks. I actually don't care about that. Now, I know at one point they were saying that they were going to just make a revamp the Titan Tree as a whole. I take that back. I do want them to do it, but it's just not the priority right this second. And then for Legacy reworks, I mean, Legacy reworks are cool, so I'm cool with that. All right, I visited the Cyber Store before. So that's a good question. Do loyalty points have any influence on your purchasing? For me, they don't. I just get them when I get them. It's a nice to have. I'm not going into it. But I do think the loyalty point shop is pretty good. They ask you to use Cyberstore. Now, Cyberstore does offer some exclusives, and I think primarily because they can on the Cyberstore they can charge you more for certain content. But they also give you better deals for your dollar on Cyberstore. So, um, do I use it for all of my purchases? No. Sometimes I'm just trying to get through the war and I just grab a couple of coins so I can finish the war. But other than that, I try to go to Cyberstore. Like if I'm planning for an event, I'm going to Cyberstore. If it's an exclusive, I'm going to Cyberstore. All right, so they say if you don't use it for all your purchases, why? Because I don't feel like it. And is there a country we don't support? I'm in the United States, so for me that's not applicable. Then they start asking about events, and I remember at one point in time in the game, everybody was just upset about events. So if you made a 10K, the top players were upset about that. Or no, they're not the top players. The players who were real heavy into events, the whales would be like it's too low, which I understood. Like you was like, hey, I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna upgrade every weekend. Cool, man. Like when you can't do that exactly in a 10K event. And for me, for the 10K events, it actually gets irritating because they're gonna be guys that want you to now with Alliance HQ to go hit the H8 XP beacon. And I'm just like, dude, I don't want to waste that on the 10K. I don't care if it is full. Like, I just don't want to do that. So then they ask you what an individual event should be. I've always said stop prizes at a certain point, but make it as long. Individual event, let people play as long as they want, because then the guys that want to hunt XP they can, but let them play as long as they want. Right now, they were saying they cap 500K event reward cap. I'm cool with that. You know, if you want to play just for XP, then we're not going to keep throwing prizes at you. Just here's your XP. Alliance event weekend minimum. I'm fine with it at 500. They ask about Cyber Pass. I always get it. Cyber Pass, the best value in the game. Do you enjoy checking and completing Cyber Pass quests? No, not really. I just kind of do. I kind of just play the game, and if it happens, it happens. Daily quests, it's not that important. I mean, I'll do them if I see it's easy, but if not, then whatever. You'll still probably complete the pass. Alliance Wars, yeah, complete all of those. Or the Alliance War quest. Yeah, you usually complete the Cyber Pass. Now they started talking about a Cyber Pass skip. That will be interesting because would you be able to skip to the next reward on the pass track whenever you like for cyber coins. That would be dope. All right, what you like about Cyber Pass? I mean, I like all the stuff we get in Cyber Pass, so that's whatever. What would you like to see more of in a single Cyber Pass that would make you buy premium, bro? Let's see, squad cooldown skips. I'd like to see research and ability upgrades. Yeah, they put more of that combat spark, any of those things. I'd be fine with. Then they start asking you how you feel about the game. I say good. They ask you why you feel that way. Um, Weekend events, I hate. I'm always gonna hate, and that's just me personally. I like the wars and stuff, but endurance. It works out well because I like endurance and I like the larger events. And they asked how we feel about the new studio. I'm optimistic about it. I think that because they're gonna be able to work without a lot of restraints, I think it's gonna be positive, and I think that with them having more developers, it's gonna be more positive. I think the biggest thing that's been hurt in this game is developers get pulled by Space Ape to go to other games and other projects, or people get laid off, and you got to try to replace this person. They got to try to find somebody who's good for the game. When that doesn't happen, then if you don't hire somebody right away, then you wind up getting to a point where you got one or two developers in there and a bunch of content that needs to come out. And it, like I said before on the previous stream, we need about four of them at minimum. They asked if we have questions about the studio, and they asked what you enjoy collecting in the game. Yeah, I just say combine the characters, whatever. They asked about the newsletter. How do you feel about it being released on Thursday? I actually don't care. I'm fine with that. And I've heard a bunch of different reasons why people say that you should do the newsletter other times. I've heard people say they should do it on Monday, wrapping up what happened over the week. And I was like, well, if you do that, like, everybody knows what happened during the week. You were there. Wednesdays were best, and I could always stream on Wednesdays. But now with me coaching basketball, it kind of works out that it's on Thursday. But hey, man, this is what we're working on. I mean, a newsletter, I feel like, is something that is in addition to just to kind of keep up with what's going on. It's not something that's a requirement. Are you happy with soccer schedules? Yes. They did ask about the bugs, and there's a list of those that they're working on. Probably came from the survey. And I want an Alliance War update. They asked you what sounds more attractive to keep the game fresh, but they started talking about Alliance Wars update date, which technically they've already promised. HQ19, I actually don't care about it. I mean, it's going to make it more difficult, so that's probably good because I'm playing at a high level right now. More competitive game modes outside of weekend events. Definitely not looking forward to that. And a new weekend event type, I think, because just for me, weekend events, one of the reasons why I don't like them, I was like, hey, you can smash robots up there for in the game to try to get resources and stuff like that. But it's like you're doing the exact same thing throughout the whole weekend. So I don't want to continue doing that. So if they find another way to do this stuff, then I'm all for it. balance updates, they start talking about that, buffing characters, and there's a couple of people that I know that are real heavy on that, just balance updates. But I just don't see it happening, just because with the balance updates, now we got legacy batch and all this stuff, and I was like, I think that they'll probably let some bots go through power creep. So I think you just leave it the way it is. Um, go do legacy event. It'll eventually hit the batch and do it that way. And they ask if there's a particular defense power core outpost bot that we find difficult to evaluate. I don't really have anything for that. And then they start talking about trouble tickets. I hadn't messed around with that. How do you prefer to reach out? I actually don't mind the cyber assistant. If it's something simple and the cyber assistant, the AI can answer it, then cool. If not, then that's cool too. I've never really had a problem with them from a support ticket standpoint. Every time I had one, they fixed it. I think the cyber assistant's good. So they start asking you who you want reworked. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. We could probably do one for Cliff Jumper, Kickback. That'd probably be my pick. But now that we have this bot, we got Quake and Gears. I don't know if that'll be realistic. Power Glide and Cyclonus. So I've actually told Dale. Dale had a good idea for Power Glide and Cyclonus, but I felt like it would have been better used for Galvatronus and Galvatron and Ultra Magnus. So I don't know where we. Dude, it's been since like August or September, I think it was, when we first started looking at it. So I'm not sure what I want them to do with that, but it's gotta be dope. Ultra Magnus and Galvatron, like I just said, um, they should have the idea that Dale was thinking of at first. So I need to go back through my chat with him back at the time and see what he was thinking, because that's what needs to be on Ultra Magnus and Galvatron. Don't need to change the class. Definitely seen the Volcanicus and Predaking rework. I definitely like the changes, and they were asking about feedback on that. Asked me what league you play in, and they ask about the expectations of HQ19. So repost one says he doesn't like how we can't use Dino King bots. So I understand the concern is like people like getting new stuff. But one of the things that I was thinking about with Dino King and Raiden is, by them doing it the way they did, it actually made the whole process faster, and it made it faster by just like, hey, here's all your stuff. Here's your stuff you need um, to go and combine it. Do this event, and it should be about time for us to go have another two pieces so that you can go get the 4-star and everything if you didn't buy it during that last event that they had for it. But um, yeah, I think that it's faster. It's faster. You don't have to go chase 6 bots. For me, it was efficient. I like the way they did it, but I do understand wanting to get just different pieces to go add to the content and to add to your collection. And they asked me how difficult is the league. Um, I'll go in the middle. I mean, there's bases that can be hard, and that's about it. But oh well, that's an old screenshot. But but yeah. But anyway, um, yeah, leave me a comment after I get off the stream. Like, what are your thoughts about the survey? What are your particular things that you wanted to get into? But yeah, it's not a whole lot going on, so I figured that would be a good time to kind of read through that, especially if anybody wasn't aware that the survey was going on. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. Thank everybody for joining tonight. I'll be back on next Thursday as well, hopefully with some updates on this batch. Hopefully the batch will be coming out by then. And Anyway, I'll see you next time, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Freezy is out.